So the question came up, what do the teenage girls do most of the time? Well, they talk about their boyfriends.
Paul dragged me into the boys' locker room.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Or they're making out with their boyfriends. One of them maybe is a little not quite as far advanced in her social educations.
Hi, my name is Sabrina, and I'm a teenage girl. But I don't have a boyfriend, meaning I don't talk about a boyfriend, and I don't make out with a boyfriend. Does that mean I'm not a teenage girl? Well, according to John Carpenter, I guess not. But I digress. Today is the day that I blow your minds by saying Kat Stratford from 10 Things I Hate About You and Megan Bloomfield from But I'm a Cheerleader are the same. And before you start yelling in the comments and in your rooms or whatever, wherever you're watching this, let me take you on a journey. Okay, so who are Kat Stratford and Megan Bloomfield? Kat Stratford is a character in one of my favorite films, 10 Things I Hate About You. She's the oldest of two, she has blonde hair, she comes from a good family, and she's very different from her peers. This is established very early on in the opening sequence when she drives her car through the neighborhood. Kat pulls up in her car next to this car of other girls, and she's blasting Bad Reputation by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, which totally drowns out the regular opening scene music, which we're supposed to interpret as the other girls in the car listening. Then we watch her speed off as soon as she possibly can, scoffing and rolling her eyes at the girls. Megan Bloomfield is a character from But I'm a Cheerleader, and she's pretty similar to Kat appearance-wise. As her movie title implies, Megan is on the cheer team, she's a cheerleader. She's shown as a little ditzy, somewhat clueless, she's dating the football player, but she doesn't have all that much passion towards her boyfriend. Her opening scene is also a little different from Kat's, because it's way less obvious at the start why Megan is so different from her peers. So as we're watching this scene, the focus is very clearly on the boobs, butts, and just general crotch area of these cheerleaders.
Drive, drive, drive! Fremont power! Fremont pride! Be aggressive! Drive, drive, drive! Fremont power! Fremont pride! Be aggressive! Drive, drive, drive! Go, Fremont!
When I first watched it, I was kind of confused. I thought maybe it was going to be about the male gaze, or about how, young women are often sexualized. And I was a little concerned. Wasn't really sure where it was gonna go. But after I watched it a few times, I really started to understand the genius behind the directing and the shots, because it levels the playing field between the audience and Megan. Normally as an audience member, we know the journey the character has to go through. We understand what all of the plights and fights and all of it will be like. But with this, it helps us get into that same level of confusion that Megan is feeling as to why she's even looking there. After about 5 to 7 minutes of the opening, we see Megan being highly uncomfortable with kissing her boyfriend, and understandable, who would be comfortable kissing like that, so, fair play, Megan. And she's not as boy crazy as the other girls in school, which kind of leaves her a little isolated, and her friends are a little worried, which then leads to her parents organizing an intervention for her telling her that she's gay and she needs to go to basically conversion therapy to fix the gayness. It's so problematic on so many different levels that I don't even have time to cover it all. Moving on. Now that we know the basics of their opening scenes, who they are, and what their character wants, we can also realize that Megan and Kat have the exact same ending. No matter the sexuality of the relationship, the types of girls, what their issues are, they have the same ending. Basically, they get betrayed, then there's a grand gesture, and then happily ever after, whoop-de-doo, let's ride off into the sunset. Things I Hate About You has an iconic ending scene. It's super famous, it's referenced all the time. Kat goes to prom with Patrick, the male love interest. She finds out that he's been paid to take her out on all of these dates and to even take her to prom. She gets upset, rightfully so, and leaves. Later, we see her in English class presenting her poem that was assigned earlier in the film. She lists all the ways that Kat hates Patrick, hence the title 10 Things I Hate About You. But she kind of loves him for these things, but doesn't. It's kind of confusing. It's based on a Shakespeare play, so, what are you gonna do? But Patrick is listening to all of this, and he leaves once she finishes. Kat, disappointed by this, goes back to her seat, goes throughout her day, goes down to her car, and she finds out that he has bought her the guitar that she has been dying to get. She freaks out, hugs him, and they reconcile, and they live happily ever after. Megan's ending is almost the exact same, if not the same. Her and Graham, Megan's love interest, get caught having a relationship and are given the ultimatum of prove that you're straight or leave the program. Megan decides to leave the program, saying she knows who she is and she doesn't want to be something that she's not. She thinks that Graham will do the same because that's what Graham has been telling her all this time. Wrong. Megan's super upset at Graham for not leaving, which a little unfair, but because Megan doesn't fully understand Graham's circumstances and it's a whole thing. But Megan's upset that Graham is not coming with her. So Megan stays at the house that they had visited earlier in order to sneak out and does some soul searching, does some understanding of herself. Graham miraculously passes this straight test and is going to graduate from the program. Megan learns that the graduation is coming up, and her and Dolph, another character who got kicked out for being in a relationship with a different boy, decide to drive a truck over to graduation and crash the ceremony. Megan does a little cheer routine to convince Graham to run off with her, and would you look at that, it works. Oh boy. And they live happily ever after. So again, same ending. Betrayed. Prom, not leaving the program. Grand gesture. Poem. Cheer. And finally, their happy ending, where the love interests reconcile and decide to either ride off into the sunset on the truck or make up and forgive. Oh, and don't forget, Patrick and Graham are both alternative punk baddies. So that further proves my point that these films are the same. Now you're probably wondering, Sabrina, why do you even care? These movies are from the 90s. They probably copied each other anyway. Yeah, they are from the 90s, and they might have copied each other, I'm not saying that. But they're cultural staples in the film industry and the coming-of-age genre. Both films depict the social isolation that comes with not fitting in and not being the idea of a perfect teen girl, which unfortunately represents a lot of teenage girls and what the experience is growing up. They show the consequences of being different, but they also show the audience that it's okay to be different, and you too can bag an alternative baddie still. In all seriousness, the fact that both Kat and Megan are different, isolated, and considered wrong to some of the people in their movie and out of the movie shows just how important it is to dismantle the stereotype right now by making more of these films. So overall, Kat and Megan are the same. It doesn't matter if it's a heterosexual or a homosexual relationship. At the root, these films are the same. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it's also really important to recognize that and to understand that while one is a cultural phenomenon, the other doesn't get as much love, which is very interesting considering it is an LGBTQ plus film and what the societal impacts of that are. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, leave a comment down below on your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!